is my WWE Extreme Rules 2010 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view aired last night exclusively on pay-per-view. And I gotta say, this was a very good pay-per-view outing from WWE. It delivered past my expectations. And last two matches of this pay-per-view were great, with the last man standing match being very good and the cage match being very good as well. And really, overall, this whole entire pay-per-view, there's probably only one match you possibly could say that was even in the category of not being a good match. Every other match was, you saw a couple, very good to great matches, and really everything else on it was either, watchable to good matches. And like I said, there's only one match on here that was probably in the category of something I could have dealt without being on the pay-per-view. Now, the pay-per-view started off with, it looked like we're going to be seeing the Triple H versus Sheamus street fight to start the pay-per-view off. Triple H's music hits, he doesn't come out there, then they cut to the backstage, and Sheamus is beating down Triple H. Then he gets a lead pipe and hits Triple H in the head with it, then in the side of the neck. And looks like, this match might not take place. But later on, they do take on each other actually in a real match, and this is just the way to, kind of slowly, build up to, writing off Triple H with this whole segment backstage here, with the whole match later on building around Triple H, working, selling his neck during the match, and then obviously writing him off later on after that match. Then the first match that was actually a real match of the pay-per-view was Big Show and Miz came out there and said, we're the greatest tag team of all time within WWE history. And then Teddy Long came out here and announced that you two are going to be having a match tonight, and you're going to be taking on a tag team, and if this tag team is able to defeat you, they are going to be the #1 contenders for the Unified Tag Team Championships and take on you two on the following night, which will be tonight's Monday Night Raw, the 3-hour edition of Raw. And then it turned into 2 teams, then 3 teams, so it was a tag team gauntlet match with Miz and Big Show. The first team they took on was R-Truth and John Morrison. Actually, some decent back and forth stuff within this part of the match with John Morrison and R-Truth against Miz and Big Show. And this first match with Miz and Big Show ended in disqualification. Then the next team they took on was Mark Henry and MVP. And Big Show hits the knockout punch to MVP, and then Miz pins MVP. So then they take on the third and final team, which is the Hart Dynasty, which I think everyone knew that this is the route it was going to go, the Hart Dynasty being the third and final team. And then the Hart Dynasty pick up the victory after hitting the Heart Attack to the Miz in this match. So most likely, since they're the #1 contenders to the Unified Tag Team titles, and they're going to be having a tag team title match tonight on Monday Night Raw, I think they'll finally give the tag titles to the Hart Dynasty, and I think they could do a good job as the tag team champions. The only thing that is the problem with it is they really don't have any competition to take on. Now, the R-Truth and John Morrison team is a thrown-together team, but the Hart Dynasty and them could possibly, have some good matches against each other. But unfortunately, with WWE, they don't really care about tag team wrestling and don't really have any tag teams that the Hart Dynasty could take on. So that's the only problem with it. And I think there's a chance that if the Hart Dynasty do win the tag team titles tonight on Monday Night Raw, then they possibly could break up the Miz and Big Show team, possibly keep the Miz on Monday Night Raw, and with the draft/trades and stuff like that, have the Big Show go to Friday Night SmackDown. This match is something that is one of the qualifications of like a match that should not take place on a pay-per-view. This had all the elements of a match that should have took place on TV, either Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. It wasn't something that should have taken place on pay-per-view. If they wanted to do something like this, they could have done this right before the pay-per-view, either on Friday or on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown right before the pay-per-view, then had the Hart Dynasty get their shot at the tag titles on the pay-per-view. That would have worked out a whole lot better than this. That's something they just completely just threw together. 1.5 stars. Like, this was the only match on the pay-per-view that I could say I could have dealt without. Every other match on this pay-per-view was, very good to great, some good matches, and, a couple watchable matches as well. Then the next matchup was CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio. The gimmick of this match was if CM Punk loses this match, he has to shave his hair and go bald. And obviously, this is CM Punk's hair on the line in this match. And this match was probably the match they should have had at WrestleMania 26. These two had a much better match at this pay-per-view. Good back-and-forth action, a lot of good counters, a lot of good reversals. And the only thing some people might have a problem with is the ending of the match, but I didn't have too much of a problem with it because I think they had a good overall match before the ending, that the ending didn't hurt it. And with CM Punk being a heel, it doesn't matter that it ended in the way it did. The ending came when you saw a masked guy come out from under the ring. He got a steel chair in the ring while the referee wasn't looking, and the ref got distracted with trying to get that steel chair outside of the ring. And then you saw the same masked guy get Mysterio outside the ring and powerbomb Mysterio outside the ring, and then CM Punk rolled Rey Mysterio in the ring, then hit the GTS to go to sleep to Rey Mysterio to pick up the victory. So CM Punk wins this match. Thankfully, they went this route because I was a little fearful with WWE. I was kind of fearful that they might have went the route of having CM Punk have his hair get shaved in this match and then change his look, which that would have been terrible if they went that. Thankfully, they didn't go that route. And the masked guy in this match, now. Some results last night, because I just saw the pay-per-view now, I didn't watch it last night, was that some people thought it was Joey Mercury could have been the person in some results, but watching the pay-per-view, I think it looked like it wasn't Joey Mercury, Joey Matthews. I think it could have possibly been Low-Key, a.k.a. Senshi, a.k.a. in WWE, he'd be Cabal, which I'm hoping that's who it was, because Rey Mysterio versus Cabal, Low-Key, would be a great feud, and Rey Mysterio has been pushing to have a feud against Low-Key when he does get on WWE TV, so that would be something great to see, and I'm thinking that's who the person is going to be. Now, it's going to be interesting with the draft tonight, what they do. Are they going to have Rey Mysterio or CM Punk switch brands, or are they going to stay on the same brands? It was rumored, before this pay-per-view that they were going to be splitting apart, and this was going to be the last match in the series against each other, but kind of with the ending of this match, with the masked guy getting involved, kind of makes you think that obviously it's going to continue the feud. In this match, I would give 3 3/4 stars. A very good match with CM Punk and Rey Mysterio. Type of match they probably should have had at WrestleMania, because they got roughly probably about 14 to 15 minutes within this match. And the only thing I would say that some people might have a problem with was the ending, but CM Punk being a heel and what it could possibly lead to, I think it would be okay. And it was a good match before that anyway, and the ending didn't kill the quality of the match. Sometimes interference can do that, though. Then the next matchup was JTG versus Chad Gaspard in a strap match. The former members of Crime Time taking on each other. And this match was actually a little better than I was expecting. I was really expecting this match to be terrible and nothing worth seeing, but I would kind of classify this in the category of watchable, average to almost teetering to a good match. And JTG surprisingly is the one that picks up the victory in this match after hitting a 4 turnbuckle post in this match. In a 2 1/4 star match. Actually, pretty entertaining match against each other, and you kind of would expect that, I guess, between two former tag team partners that have been teaming up for a long time. Normally, tag team partners always have a good chemistry with each other and have good can work good with each other within matches. So I kind of should have saw that coming, but for some reason I didn't think they would mesh well with each other. But they actually seemed like they worked pretty good in the match, and it was fairly short. It was actually one match I probably could have dealt with maybe a couple more minutes, because it actually was going on pretty good. I think they should have maybe been given a little more time, but for the time it was given, it was a pretty good match. Like I said, 2 1/4 stars. Then the next matchup was Jack Swagger versus Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was an Extreme Rules match, and this was a fairly good match between these two. Good back and forth action, good brawling outside the ring, and I like the ending to this match a lot. The ending of the match came when Randy Orton got a steel chair in the middle of the ring, and he was about to hit the RKO to Jack Swagger, RKO him face first into the steel chair, but Jack Swagger reversed it and slammed Randy Orton's spine first into the steel chair, and then after that hit the gut wrench powerbomb to Randy Orton to pick up the victory and retain the World Heavyweight Championship in a 3 1/4 star match. Now, hopefully with this, they start building up Jack Swagger a little better, because before this pay-per-view, Jack Swagger was built up as a very weak champion. I don't see him having the title for that long, but hopefully they at least let him have the title for at least another month or two, and before he loses the title, at least make it seem like he's a credible champion. I'm hoping they do that, and this kind of gave him a little credibility within this match, picking up the victory on Randy Orton. I like the ending of the match a lot. And then after the match, post-match, what you saw was Jack Swagger kind of celebrating, holding up the title. Then he got outside the ring. Then out of nowhere, Randy Orton hit the RKO to Jack Swagger. So with that, it makes it seem like that this feud will be continuing. It's been a lot of speculation, rumors that Randy Orton with the draft tonight could possibly be switched over to SmackDown, which with that the Randy Orton and Jack Swagger feud will continue. And this match they had here was pretty good. Like I said, I give the match 3 1/4 stars, and I think if they have another match with each other, they could even have a better match than what they had here. They seem like they have very good chemistry with each other, and they can have a pretty good feud that I wouldn't mind seeing, them have a feud with each other for another month or two, and then lead to something else with obviously Randy Orton then becoming the World Heavyweight Champion. But I think these two could have a very good feud, and I wouldn't mind seeing it continue, which with the ending would make you seem like that's the route they would go. Then the next matchup was Sheamus versus Triple H in the street fight. This is when the match actually officially took place. And this match, I would say, was even better than the WrestleMania match, which Triple H, this is the one problem I have with Triple H. Because Triple H, I will say, no matter what, as much as I hate his backstage politicking and all what he does backstage, Triple H is a good in-ring worker. He can work good in the ring. And not only that, with this feud like Sheamus, and when he wants to, Triple H can put over a star and make someone, into a star that could possibly be a main event star. Because I think before this feud with Sheamus was really not believable at all. I mean, Randy Orton kind of made him look a little believable, and the Cena stuff didn't work at all. But the Triple H feud so far has been making Sheamus seem like he could possibly be a star within WWE in the future. So Triple H has done a good job with that. I just wish Triple H would do that more with other people instead of just people he's, close friends with. He can put over guys like his friends like Randy Orton, Batista, and Sheamus, but when it comes to anyone else, not that much he can do it with. But when he wants to, he can put over a star, which is the thing that pisses me off the most about Triple H, because he can definitely put over someone when he wants to. And within this match, the main reason why I like this match a lot was there was some good brawling in it, good back and forth action. Not only that, the thing that really sold this match and made this a good match was the in-ring psychology in this match. You saw a lot of good selling from Triple H, because earlier in the evening with the lead pipe shot from Sheamus to Triple H, he hit Triple H in the neck, and Triple H was selling that within this match. And then Triple H was, Sheamus was working over Triple H's left arm in the match as well. And just good selling from Triple H, good work from Sheamus in this match as well. Just these two work pretty good with each other in this match, I would say. Then at one point, Triple H got a kendo stick, started beating the hell out of Sheamus with it. And then the end of the match came when Sheamus kept on hitting multiple bicycle kicks to Triple H to pick up the victory. So Sheamus picks up the victory, and it was about 3 or 4 bicycle kicks to end the match, with Sheamus picking the victory up in about a 3 1/4 star match. Pretty entertaining match with them two. Then at the end of the match, Triple H was with the paramedics and all of them came into the ring. Looked like they were going to put him on a stretcher. Triple H refused that. Got outside the ring. They helped him to the back. As soon as he got to the stage, at the top of the stage, Sheamus came out again and hit another bicycle kick to Triple H. Then after that, Triple H got on the stretcher. They wheeled into the back. So obviously with that, Triple H is going to be written off of TV. Don't necessarily know how long he's going to be taking a break for, because he is wanting to take some time off to heal from some neck injuries problems that he's having right now. So with that, I'm probably saying that he's definitely going to be gone for at least probably another at least 2 months. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to take some time off and then wait to return at a big pay-per-view like a SummerSlam and have a big, comeback at SummerSlam. That's probably what the route they will go with. Triple H returning at SummerSlam, and like I said, that match with Sheamus and Triple H was very good and very entertaining, I gotta say. Pretty good street fight between those two, and 3 1/4 stars. And I haven't been completely sold on Sheamus, being a main eventer or a guy that could possibly be have another world championship reign, but he's been, at least with this Triple H feud, and Triple H has put him over to the level that at least makes him seem like he's believable and could possibly have a chance of being like that. But I think it's, he's going to have to keep on doing a little more for me to really see that, he's definitely worthy of being a World Heavyweight Champion. But Triple H has done a good job in this feud with Sheamus, the 2 matches they had against each other. WrestleMania match was good, and this match was even better. Then the next matchup was Michelle McCool versus Beth Phoenix, an Extreme Makeover match for the Women's Championship. And this was actually a pretty good overall women's match between those two. Didn't get too much time, pretty much the time you would expect the Divas match, probably, 7, 8 minutes at best, if it even got that. But saw some good stuff with Michelle McCool and Beth Phoenix in this match, and Beth Phoenix picks up the victory after hitting the Glam Slam to Michelle McCool. So Beth Phoenix is the new women's champion. And the one thing I'm hoping for that WWE does is, with Beth Phoenix as the women's champion now, possibly if they do something where they want to change the women's championships again, or do something where Beth Phoenix and Gail Kim are on the same show, because I think you could possibly do a very good feud with Beth Phoenix and Gail Kim. And that's one of the women's matches I want to see in WWE as a feud that could possibly, them two possibly could have a feud that lasts, at least 3-4 months and have a lot of good women's matches within WWE. And that's one feud I'm hoping they do with Beth Phoenix as women's champion. They switch Gail Kim either to SmackDown or, like I said, do something where they switch the women's champions and just do it where Gail Kim and Beth Phoenix are on the same show in a 2-1 4-star match. Pretty, good women's matches. Above average women's match, I would say. It's better than the typical Divas match, I would say. Then the next matchup was the cage match with Edge versus Chris Jericho. This was a very good cage match between these two. Good back and forth action. Probably the best spot in this match was at one point you saw Edge on the top rope, and then Jericho did a springboard code breaker to Edge in this match, and Edge hit 2 spears in this match to pick up the victory. So Edge picks up the victory in this match. So with this is obviously going to be the last time I think you're going to be seeing Edge versus Chris Jericho against each other. They'll be on separate shows starting after the WWE draft tonight. I'm thinking you'll probably see Jericho go to Monday Night Raw for some reason, and Edge staying on SmackDown, or go the other way, but I'm definitely obviously saying that one of them two will obviously go to Monday Night Raw, and they'll be split apart, and this will be obviously the end of the feud with each other, which was a good way to end the feud. They had a great match at WrestleMania. This match was great as well. I would say both of them probably equally as good in quality. I'll give this 4 stars. Pretty good cage match between the two. Then the main event was John Cena versus Batista for the World Heavyweight, not the World Heavyweight, but the WWE Championship, and a last man standing in that match. Now, the only thing some people might have a problem with is the ending of this match, which, if some people state they thought this match, was going on good, but then the ending kind of hurt it, I can understand, why some people would say that. I mean, because even last year when they did the thing at Backlash with the, strobe light thing with Edge and John Cena, that kind of hurt the quality in that match for me, but I think the ending of this match was okay. And it didn't hurt it too much for me, because I think they did so much good stuff before it. It made this thing with the ending okay, and especially with John Cena just wanting to win the match no matter what, and he was having to do anything to defeat Batista, and it kind of at least made some sense. Now, they did one spot in this match outside where Batista looked like he was going to hit the Batista bomb through the announce table when he got on top of the steel steps to John Cena. Cena reversed it, hit the attitude adjustment to Batista, and Batista went through the announce table. Then they did a table spot inside the ring where Batista hit the spine buster to John Cena. Then they did another attitude adjustment spot in the match as well. And just good back and forth action with the two. Now, the ending came when John Cena got Batista in one of the corners in the corner, and went outside the ring, got some duct tape, and duct taped Batista's legs together so he couldn't get up. So that was the ending of the match right there, and Batista lost that way. And with that, I could understand why some people would hate it, but I didn't think it was too bad, considering, like I said, it was okay the way they did it with Batista, not Batista, but John Cena. He was doing anything to try to beat Batista, and he was just that desperate to beat him, and it was okay they went that route. And I would give this match, even with the ending, 4-1, 4 stars. Very good match between those two. And overall, I'll give this pay-per-view an 8.5. I mean, you saw 2 great, matches at the end with the cage match and the WWE Championship. You saw a good street fight with Sheamus and Triple H. The CM Punk and Rey Mysterio match was good as well. Pretty good, solid Divas match on this pay-per-view. And like I said before, the only thing that was bad on this pay-per-view was one match, and that was the Tag Team Gauntlet match. That's the only match on this pay-per-view that I would say was in the category of anything bad or terrible that I could have dealt without. So that's it for my WWE Extreme Rules 2010 pay-per-view review. I dealt without being on the pay-per-view. Now, the pay-per-view started off with, it looked like we're going to be seeing the Triple H versus Sheamus street fight to start the pay-per-view off. Triple H's music hits, he doesn't come out there, then they cut to the backstage, and Sheamus is beating down Triple H, then he gets a lead pipe and hits Triple H in the head with it, then in the side of the neck, and looks like, this match might not take place. But later on, they do take on each other actually in a real match, and this is just the way to, kind of slowly, build up to, writing off Triple H with this whole segment backstage here, with the whole match later on building around Triple Raw. And then it turned into 2 teams, then 3 teams, so it was a tag team gauntlet match with Miz and Big Show. The first team they took on was R-Truth and John Morrison. Actually, some decent back and forth stuff within this part of the match with John Morrison and R-Truth against Miz and Big Show. And this first match with Miz and Big Show ended in disqualification. Then the next team they took on was Mark Henry and MVP. And Big Show hits the knockout punch to MVP, and then Miz pins MVP. So then they take on the third and final team, which is the Hart Dynasty, which I think everyone knew. This is my WWE Extreme Rules 2010 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view aired last night exclusively on pay-per-view. And I gotta say, this was a very good pay-per-view outing from WWE. It delivered past my expectations. And last two matches of this pay-per-view were great, with the last man standing match being very good and the cage match being very good as well. And really, overall, this whole entire pay-per-view, there's probably only one match you possibly could say that was even in the category of not being a good match. Every other match was, you saw a couple, very good to great matches, and really everything else on it was either, watchable to good matches. And like I said, there's only one match on here that was probably in the category of something I could like, selling his neck during the match, and then obviously writing him off later on after that match. Then the first match that was actually a real match of the pay-per-view was Big Show and Miz came out there and said, we're the greatest tag team of all time within WWE history. And then Teddy Long came out here and announced that you two are going to be having a match tonight, and you're going to be taking on a tag team, and if this tag team is able to defeat you, they are going to be the #1 contenders for the Unified Tag Team Championships and take on you two on the following night, which will be tonight's Monday Night Raw, the 3-hour edition of. This is the route it was going to go, the Hart Dynasty being the third and final team, and then the Hart Dynasty pick up the victory after hitting the Heart Attack to the Miz in this match. So most likely, since they're the #1 contenders to the Unified Tag Team titles, and they're going to be having a tag team title match tonight on Monday Night Raw, I think they'll finally give the tag titles to the Hart Dynasty, and I think they could do a good job as the tag team champions. The only thing that is the problem with it is they really don't have any competition to take on. Now, the R-Truth and John Morrison team is a thrown together team, but the Hart Dynasty and them could possibly, have some good matches against each other, but unfortunately,